Okay, who here hates lunging? Any of you hate doing lunges? Hate doing, well, obviously you two hate doing lunges. That makes sense. Huh? Why?
They want to be a Dorito. But I've been wanting to train my legs, so I need to go back to it.
You know what helps?
The lunge without any weight.
I think it's a scary movement, or it can be a scary movement.
Why?
For specifically like people who have been injured, or like, I don't know, for me.
I don't like lunges when their weight is on my back.
Yeah, exactly.
If I can hold dumbbells and do a lunge, I'll do it all day. But
What were you saying?
I feel like I always bring up the dislocation, but after I fucked up my knee over the summer, like I genuinely just like am scared to get into that position and like bend down.
That's fair.
So I can understand that being a challenge for clients. Is the connection.
Yeah. From a aging perspective, like 50, 60, 70, why is it important? I'm sure we've gone over this.
overall
every day.
flexion and
Yeah,
True.
knee stability.
balance and strength.
Yeah. Any of you have grandparents? Remember still alive? Okay, great. What happens if they fall? How do they get up?
With their legs.
What position do they have to get into to get up?
Like crawling, like a
Crawling and then what? Have you ever watched someone get up?
Yeah.
What position? They do just pull themselves up. They do calisthenics and just do just on the counter, just pull themselves up with their lats. That's what old people do. No, when people fall, the safest way to get up is to get into a split squat position, a lunge position, knee on the ground, put their hands on something and stand up. So when people lose access to floor transfers, they can't get up and down off the ground, they are one accident away from very nice kids putting them into retirement homes. So, and the goal would be to stay in or out of retirement homes as long as possible. Which one?
I'm gonna go with out.
Yes, stay out. So there's some cool statistics you guys can find about like VO2 max, leg strength. Those two are the biggest predictors, but if someone has a VO2 max under like 20, I think I'd have to look that number up.
That sounds right.
They can't get to the fridge without being out of breath. They can't get to the bathroom without being out of breath. Do you think that if someone could lunge really well at 70, not get out of breath, they're probably healthy enough to not go to a retirement home?
Yes.
So lunging is a very scary movement for a lot of people. It's very unstable. You go from 2 legs to 1 leg. Interestingly, lunging has less knee flexion than like a deep squat does. If you think about it, they both stop. Unless you're on a deficit, they both stop. Everything stops at 90 degrees at the joint. So it's not even that big of a range of motion compared to like a squat. But it's really important as people get older. And then if you're working with clients who are younger, if we are talking about sprinters or anyone who has to work into a lot of triple extension, jumping, sprinting, do they typically have underdeveloped glutes or overdeveloped glutes? Really developed legs. Football players, baseball players, sprinters, track athletes, they have big legs. Yeah. Lunging puts a lot of load into the hip as well as the knee, but the knee only hits about 90 degrees. The hip takes a lot of that load. So lunging is not just good for our older population. It's incredibly important just to develop some unilateral strength or some skill in that position. You know, when a sprinter takes off from the block, they're not taking off feet together. Not that it has to be one-to-one, but having someone really stable and comfortable in that position, not necessarily that being in a split lunge position is any more beneficial than having a really strong back squat. But if you're really skilled, like you've done the lunge pattern a lot, you're probably a lot more balanced at that pattern. You probably have some benefits from doing just 2-leg squats. So there's a lot of coaches you'll see that do almost no back squatting, and it's all heavy loaded lunges. Why scared of putting weight on the back? What scares you about that? As opposed to a squat with the weight on your back.
I mean, it just makes you less stable. Yeah. It's like pushing.
Being in the lunge?
Yeah.
Sure.
You can't really load it.
You haven't tried hard enough.
Huh?
You haven't tried hard enough. You can. I mean, you can load the absolute shit out of barbell, even barbell back lunges or barbell lunges. You don't have to put the back in. You can. I have done barbell lunges to like 260, 265. It just requires a lot more core stability. And you wouldn't start there. Like if you guys wanted to start getting used to it, you would just start with a bar, you know, and then progress from there.
Well, I was gonna do, like, I do it on a Smith machine.
Sure, super stable, nothing's going anywhere. You can do safety bars with hands on. Those are my favorite. You can run those until the cows come home. If you can control it down. If you run out of steam, you can just pull a little bit harder and get yourself back up. But I love the lunges. Joseph loves lunges for a lot of those same reasons. It's absolutely incredible for older people when they are super scared. Like imagine you dislocated your knee and then for 35 years, 40 years, you didn't do a lunge ever again. And now you're into a phase of life where people are talking about like, hey, can you still get up and down off the ground? Or you're having grandkids that are on the ground and your kids want you to play with them and you get on the ground and then all of a sudden grandma or grandpa can't get up off the ground anymore. So really important just to have really strong legs in general for the purpose of not just vanity, but making sure that you stay healthy. It's very important. So that's my spiel about lunges. And if you're scared of something, the only way to get past that is to do the thing. You literally can't get over it if you don't do it. There's the thing I think about all the time that you can't be brave if you're not scared.
Not for the motivational speeches for the night.
It's not, I'm just telling you, you literally can't do it. So like people all the time, I don't like doing it, and they're like, it's too scary, I can't do it. And it's like, well, you'll never do it if you don't, so quit being chicken shits. And stop doing it on a Smith machine. No, you don't have to stop doing it. Huh? What do you mean? Do you think that loading, so if I like load your biceps, do they adapt and get bigger and stronger? Yes. Do you know if you load joints, cartilage, tendons, do they get stronger? Also yes. If you load bone, does it get bigger and stronger? Yes. Yeah, that's how osteopenia happens. Osteopenia, osteoporosis. If you,
It's bigger inward, technically.
yes, it gets more dense. It can get bigger on the outside, but there's some weird cases like baseball players their humerus gets bigger. Soccer players, their hip bone will get bigger.
Check your toe into the heel and you develop that giant notch of the bone.
Yeah. Yeah, so bone can get bigger, but typically in what he's saying is it gets more dense. So as you load bone, the brain's like, oh shit, these has to be stronger, so they send bone cells and they do their bone cell things, and then it gets thicker and stronger. So when you do exercises that load your knees, if you do it over a long period of time and, you know, gradually, do you think it just wears your knees apart, or do you think your knees adapt to what it's being asked to do? It adapts. So we did a training here not too long ago, and he said something that I really liked. It was the body we've looked at like a machine for a long time, wear and tear. I'm sure everyone's heard that before. And their thought now is it's more like a garden than a machine. So if you give it the proper nutrients and sunlight and all the things it needs, tissue responds to stress by adapting, including cartilage, including tendons, including bone. So most of what they think causes the joints to die is probably genetic more than it is the load you put on them or the lack of load that you've always put on them. They're unstable. The body is a stress adapter, so if you take the stress away, it just maladapts. Like if you sat on the couch for 3 weeks, what happens? 3 months, what happens? Yeah, do you think your knees get stronger? Do you think your muscles get stronger? Your tendons? The one constant that all of us have to deal with is gravity. And it's whether or not you can handle gravity or can't handle gravity. And if you just lay around all day long, your body's like, all right, well, don't need to do that. And then people get up and they go hike for 4 miles on legs that can't handle the load. And then we've now done too much loading, not inappropriate exercise selection. So,
Any benefit of having the load on your back based on not doing a Bulgarian split squat instead of a lunge?
I mean, a Bulgarian split squat is a lunge pattern, so it's all just a pattern. A lunge pattern is just your legs are split apart. Technically, a lunge is when you oscillate back and forth from standing together to splitting, and a split squat is just a static position where you just stay here and go up and down. So it's a Bulgarian split squat. It still files under the same pattern. Is there a benefit to loading your back? Probably. Axial load compresses the spine just a little bit, but it makes all the muscles that connect your spine, which is a lot, have to work really hard to manage that stress. Your vertebrae are not these weak, gooey balls that just spit out everywhere. They're very dense, more like ligament than they are squishy little handballs. So they also can adapt. The tissue on the outside can adapt. All the muscles can adapt. The bones can adapt. So there's a lot of good information about axial loading and why it's important for the same reason of making your bones more dense. So you don't have to if you don't want to. You're still technically axially loading if you're holding 2 dumbbells in your hand because it's still compressing down. So like if I had you hold 200-pound dumbbells in each hand, do you think your back is under stress? It may not be directly loaded on the spine from the top, but the shoulders are still connected to the rib cage and that all pulls down. You could with straps, it would just suck, and it might hurt your shoulders a little bit. Again, too much load too quickly is where we run into problems with joints, not exercises. Because there's no movement that's technically bad. It's just like, if you went and did lunges and just like 3 days, from nothing to 3 days a week, you guys started doing lunges, do you think you might push it a little bit too far on the knees? Yeah, and then the tissue's like, hey, can you please stop for a little bit? And then you stop doing that because it's dumb, which is stuff that both him and I have done. You just got to fuck around and find out sometimes, you know? You're like, can I handle 3 squat days a week? Yes. For how long? The Lord only knows. And I found that one out. It's like 6 months. Where do you want to feel the lunge?
Quad, hamstring, butt, all of it.
Can we get some consensus here? Quad, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Glute?
Yes.
Calf?
Yes.
You guys got to stabilize. I mean, you're in a split position, back foot's on the toe. Trunk?
Yes.
Yeah? Hamstring? What is a hamstring's primary job? What does it do? Flexes the knee, yes? Is there knee flexion involved? Yes, there's some deceleration. Maybe it's like partially active.
I think 100% if you're elevated.
On the front leg? It's passively stretching it. But the main function is flexion and extension. So it does this and this. So if my front leg is up, this is going to be wild. Is my leg, oh my God, extending at all? This leg. This leg's extending a little bit, but very passively, and this leg is what's loaded. And if anything, I'm flexed here, so I can't do anything with it. I can push out, but that's just knee extension. So maybe there's some hamstring activation in lunges and squats, probably, but not as any primary mover. So quads, glutes, probably the primary. Secondary, well, primary is trunk, but that's got to be stable because you're holding weights, not putting on your skeleton. And then your calf. Your calves have to be pretty strong to stabilize. If you've ever done heavy lunges, you will find out your calf is very active the whole time. Mike, where do you feel lunges? See? He's a smart fella right there. He's a genius, people. You got to be careful with him. Okay, lunge checklist. Start with feet hip width apart. That is a pretty common thing. These are guidelines, not hard cut rules, because you can do a lot of really weird lunges, like short lunges. I don't know if you guys have ever done them, but you take a step like this, and you do your lunges here, and you can do them with heel lifters on. Yeah, and you do the same. It's awful. You get a lot more knee flexion. Your quads get absolutely toasted, and they make you breathe really hard because you're kind of like crunched up like a potato chip the whole time. Feet hip width apart, step forward, backward, or laterally, depending on the lunge variation. Again, split squat will just be in one, but you can do lateral lunges, just staying in this position and moving back and forth. It's more like a split, and then a lateral lunge would be you move back and forth, step forward, step back. You can step at diagonals. There's no wrong direction you can step. Knee alignment, front knee should be in line with toes, not collapsing inward. Again, when you're teaching someone this stuff, this pretty much applies. You want someone to do like the textbook look first, as best they can, before you start adding weird stuff. Because there's some stuff you can do with lunges. Again, similar to the short lunges, I could do something where I pull everything inside and I just recruit muscles a little bit differently. So you can mess with this all as you get more advanced with it and play around with it. There's no one perfect lunge. You can do a bunch of stuff. Avoid letting the front knee go excessively past the toes. You're looking for a pretty clear 90-90 position on both the front leg and the back leg, okay? Bent knee, the back knee lowest towards the ground, not touching. My only caveat with this, with the older crowd, and even myself, if I do a bench press with a bar and I never touch my chest, is the range of motion very consistent? Do we want some consistency in range of motion so that we can pretty thoroughly progress, or know that we're progressing it? So with lunges, I do think tapping the knee to the ground gently, not jackhammering your knee to the floor, which feels terrible, is probably better, just so that people's proprioception can get a little bit better. So someone who is a little bit more concerned about balance, the older crowd, I will have them watch their knee as it touches the ground for the whole set, so that their brain gets a little bit better about knowing where the kneecap is and it can touch a little more confidently. Because now they know where they are in space, they're a little more confident to get into those positions. So I like touching my knee to the ground, but that's because it makes my range of motion very consistent. It touches every time, I can progress it from there, and then it's standardized, okay? Keep a 90-degree angle in both the knees at the bottom of the lunge. Hip position, hips squared in the front. Avoid excessive twisting or lateral shifting. So I think Joseph did this like last week. Just with the back leg opening up. People will do lunges and move their hips in weird positions. I see this with Bulgarians all the time, where people, I'll just do it here. People will do Bulgarians and not be able to get down low enough, and the moment they set up like this, so their hip goes from square to they stay open. So my pelvis is now shifted this way, and they try to go down, and I've turned into this hip, and it's very, very tight on the hip. It doesn't feel good. So you can just imagine there's laser pointers on their hips. They need to point them forward, and then traveling up and down becomes a lot easier. So just watch people's hips when they do lunges. I probably see that the most in Bulgarians. It's hard to unsquare your hips when you're doing walking forward lunges, sort of, because you're going in a direction, so it's like the whole body has to follow you. In reverse lunges, you can kind of step out like this, which Joseph talked about, where people will do this and kind of turn their hip open, same thing, and then they try to go down, and it just does not work. So just watch your hips and make sure everything stays squared up in the direction they're facing. Spine and torso, maintain neutral, spine, chest up. Avoid leaning forward or backwards. The only thing with this one is people with knee pain, hip pain, you can kind of modify the lunge to change where they feel it. So if someone is having pain in their knee and you're going to modify it a little bit, do you think you have more pressure in the knee if there's more bend or less bend? Less bend. So I could switch them to a lunge, or I shift them forward a little bit so they hinge and they keep their knee really vertical, if not kind of slightly pushed back, so their hip is doing most of the work and their knee is avoiding it. So we can regress an exercise. Huh?
Show me how that would go.
So a normal lunge, you would do just like everything's kind of 90-90, and I could have them do a lunge where they come forward a little bit more and sit here. So they hinge forward, they push into their hip, their shin stays positive or negative, and so it shifts back, and then they push out from the hip. So almost all of that is just in my glute. It puts the stretch on the glute. I push the load into the glute, so there's less pressure on the knee. If someone's hip is bugging them, I can have them stay really tall and do a shorter lunge and just push their knee as far forward as they can so their knee is doing, or their quad's doing most of the work and it stays off their hip. So you can adjust where people's foot position is, chest angle, to keep them feeling it in one muscle versus the other. Bulgarians, I'm sure you guys have seen 100 videos online of like, do you want to feel your Bulgarians more in your glutes? Do this. And it's sure. Yeah, I mean, all you're doing there is trying to get more hip flexion. So leaning forward does help, but it's not, there's a lot of ways to roam. So there's a lot of ways to do it.
Say having one dumbbell makes it more glutes.
You know, I know, sure, but that's because you're putting a load on the opposite side, it's pulling you one way and your hip is having to pull out the other way. I would say, from my point of view, like, if you're trying to load your glute, just load your glute and stop playing games with it. Like, if you're like, I'm gonna do a 25-pound contralaterally loaded Bulgarian split squat with a little bit of a twist so I can feel my butt more, great. No, but that's like a super common specific thing that people do. I would argue that what you want to grow your glutes is mechanical tension, and you've now cut mechanical tension for some fun tricks. So prioritize mechanical tension via load, and then you'll be like, wow, I can't do as many reps. My glute is numb, and then it's sore for 2 days. So I like the tricks. I just feel like people kind of miss the point and don't load stuff up so that they can do, they're like, check this thing out I saw on Instagram. This is super fun. Any questions on the checklist? This is typically the one that you will have the hardest time teaching other than hinging, if you ever have to teach this to someone. So if you feel like you've mastered teaching a lunge to people, fantastic. Just kidding, guys. Core, engage your core to stabilize the pelvis and torso, maintain tension throughout the movement. I would say the biggest thing with this is like people just don't know how to create tension in their whole body globally. So doing something like, I'll give people a lacrosse ball to squeeze really tight. If you squeeze a lacrosse ball really tight, everything else tightens up. So you can kind of trick somebody into a global, more like global active state. A lot of times if you watch someone lunge and they're real squirrely, you'll notice that they're kind of like real squirrely everywhere, and they just have laxity everywhere. There's no tension, there's no intent, there's no follow through of the exercise. So getting someone to pay attention to what they're doing in a lunge is, I think, more important than a lot of stuff. Because you can make something really unstable and then have them squeeze everything really, really tight and then do the lunges, and everything all of a sudden feels much better. Weight distribution, distribute evenly between front and back legs. Push through the heel of the front foot during the ascent. Changes for what you want to do. Heel of the ascent typically shifts it back into your glute a little bit more. Pushing off the toe, the weight's more forward. Probably a little more quad focused.
Probably do that more like the walking one.
I would, going onto the toe when in a walking lunge, yeah, because you're traveling this way, the weight has to shift forward into your foot. But even Bulgarians, any lunge position, specifically because I try to load them, I try to keep the weight evenly distributed in my foot so that I'm not reducing the surface area. If I'm pushing off really hard, it's going to reduce itself because I have to shift forward to move forward. Breathing, inhale as you lower into the lunge, exhale as you drive up through the lunge. Again, unless you have something loaded on your back and it's really heavy, and then you're just going to hold your breath for a little bit and try to pray or do something, and you'll be fine. It'll be great. Where did I go? Where did I go? Oh, there we go. Okay, I didn't even feel myself click it. Any questions on the lunge? Joseph, you want to add anything? Okay.
No, because I wasn't listening, so I don't know.
That's fine. Everyone step up here. We're going to do some lunges. Someone go grab a bar and put it on Jake's back. Here's a... Do you know what barbells are? Here's a trick for everyone who doesn't have our cool roller pads at a normal gym. You can just put this up and then your foot fits in this thing, okay? Instead of it being flat and you flobbing your foot around and doing whatever. Do you want to do Bulgarians first or just normal lunges first?
Let's do
Who hates Bulgarians the most? That was a weird answer.
Yeah.
Should have seen that coming.
What?
That I was going to pick you if you said it was you. Yeah, it happens. Okay, so do we want her to feel this in her glute more or quad more? Glute. So what can she do? What is she trying to get to happen then? Does she want her knee to flex more or her hip to flex more?
Push back.
Okay, so let's see how much hip flexion we can get. Someone give her a cue or an idea of where we can get hip flexion from. Okay. Thoughts, feelings?
Pressure towards the front of your foot.
And push on the back foot.
So that's an interesting one. I think trying to keep as little weight on the back leg as possible is probably where you want to be. And I think part of why I don't like the big shift back is I know that she's shifting that weight on her back foot. And then to come out of it, that back foot's got to give her some lift to get out of it. So I might kick her foot back a little bit this way because she's really spread, and then have her hinge first. So she'll start hinged, and then she's just going to drop her hip straight down into her armpit. And now there's not that kickback, and all the load stays almost over, probably like here on your foot, right? No, it's not up here. You feel the pressure back here. You feel like you can push a little bit harder through that leg now?
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes on a lunge, if you get too spread out, I've got my 2 points of contact really away from the muscles. They're stretched really far, and I don't have as much stability. I don't have any leverage. Again, am I strong? If you pushed on my hands out here, am I stronger here or stronger here? So I want to get some split of the muscle. I want to stretch it, but if I split my legs out too far, I just can't move any weight. So it's the same thing. It just shortens the base a little bit so she can be more stable. You hinge first, so the glute's already folded over at the pelvis, and then she just drives it straight up into her armpit. And now let's make this more quad dominant. So how would you do that? Really tall chest. If you have lifters, they're fantastic for this, like lifter shoes.
I feel like maybe your foot out more.
No.
I would say you want it somewhere where now the load's a little more forward on the foot.
Okay, so.
There could be good. The first thing she needs to do when she comes down, just like visually, do it again, how you were. Does she have a very, now you'd have to know her mobility of her ankle. I'm guessing it's relatively fine. Okay. Is this even close to past her toe line?
No.
So is there a lot of knee flexion happening? No, it's probably like 8, there it is.
Yeah.
So when she, stand up real quick. When she breaks this time, the first thing she's gonna do is try to hit my hand with her knee and then push from there. So now the focus is not as much on the hip flexion. There's still hip flexion, but now we're trying to get, and then she's gonna drive down and extend her knee back. So when she pushes out, do another one. Try to feel like you're pushing your kneecap through the floor to stand up. Yeah? So when you do quad, you want it to be for your quads, it's really easy to let the hip take over, and you'll feel there's a lot of hip extension happening. But if you think about pushing your kneecap through the floor, you get terminal knee extension, and the quad will push back and stand her back out. So it should feel a little more quad focused now, yes? Yeah? Okay. So too big of a base, I just don't have any leverage. And there's times where that's appropriate. Like we'll do long loaded isometrics where we get into this like really, oh, the shoe's not strong enough, really weird low position and push your heel into the ground. And you'll drive your hamstring down, you'll lengthen the hamstring because I'm flexing my hip really far and then push down. It burns your legs really bad. But that's like niche sports rehab stuff. But if we're just working on someone getting a really good position here, that's where I would go specific with the Bulgarians. It's everyone's favorite, not hers, exercise in the gym. It's a really good exercise. You can make it quad dominant, you can make it hip dominant. Just don't let that weight transfer out too far. And the big thing is not shifting back onto the back foot because you lose the pressure on the front foot and that's the one doing the work. Questions, feelings, comments? Okay, you can also do these with a safety bar on your back. So you can load these if you don't like doing reverse lunges or split squats, you can do Bulgarians.
I feel like that would help focus your quads just because it's like pushing you forward.
Yes, well, and the weights come forward on split squats or on safety bars. So when you take the handles on a safety bar and lift forward, it shifts the weight forward. So now the weight's more over the joint that's trying to lift the load. Okay. Who wants to do lunges? She's free.
I'm out.
Abby's doing lunges now.
I mean, I did squats that other week, so.
Okay, let's do lunges. Okay, so where's the foot position? Oh, Jake, you're up next, dude. Don't worry. Yeah. Where's the foot position? Where should her foot position roughly be?
Hip.
About hip width. Anything outside of hip width? Everyone do this real quick. Find a space where you can do a lunge. Do this real quick and try to take a lunge from this position and see what happens. It's a little bit weird, right? You have to like jump over to one foot and then lunge. So you'll see that all the time. And the thing I want you to watch with me, where is my center of mass right now? This is my center of mass right here, right? Give or take. It's like mid-abdomen-ish level. If I lift one foot and take this post away, where's the weight going? That way, okay? But if I can get here, watch my head real quick. To do balance stuff, working with some of the older clients, you'll see this, where I ask them to do marches with weights, and they'll go like this, because their head stays dead center in the middle of their center, and they lift a foot, and they feel like they can't balance. But if you watch my head and I push it over my foot, it's much easier to balance. And I'll have them watch me, and you can watch how far my head sways over. Everything travels over to this foot so that I can keep the weight. Similar to that, I want to keep the weight on this leg. So when you do lunges, if I step, if you want to feel more balanced doing these, if I have load here or one-sided, if I shift over to my leg, I'm really stable here. Much more stable than if I'm here and it's just like, okay, I'm going to fall, I got to fall into it. So with load, you'll be here and then step down, find your new center. So our feet are going to be about hip width, and we'll just do a normal run-of-the-mill lunge. And then go to the bottom and pause. Do we feel like that's knees at about 90? And there's no hurt feelings here. Yeah, put your knee down.
Your back foot's a little too far.
Yeah, so maybe don't step
She has a wide.
Well, she also has pretty long legs. So her front leg is maybe a little far out. Do you feel balanced here? Yeah? Can you step through? No. Like put your foot back where it was and just step up like you're going to do another one. Okay? And then lunge through. Does that look a little bit better? A little bit shorter. Okay? Step through again. With the other leg. You keep doing one leg, it's getting real tired. Okay, so still maybe a little bit long. And it's the same problem. Do you feel like on her front foot the weight's more back in her heel or front in her foot? Back in her heel. Do you think she'll be able to take off this way with some good force? Why not?
Because, yeah.
Same center of mass question. The center of mass is way too far behind the thing trying to do the work. So there's no weight here. So for her to push forward, what's she going to have to do? Push forward. So now step through. You see how the first thing that happens, she goes this way. So step again, and I want you to keep, wait, come here, come back here. I want you to face this way. I want you to keep all the weight when you step forward, like right under this part of your foot. And then pause right there, come down. Where's the weight now? Closer to the toe, like more ball of the foot. And now step through it. Okay, do a couple more. And try to keep a little more forward in your foot. Step through. Does it feel like it's easier to push off that way? Or don't know? Okay. That's fair. That's all right. So typically with the lunges, if we're too far out and the weight's in the heel, coming forward is going to be, it's going to have to look like this. I'll land on the heel, all the weight's backwards, and then I'll have to kind of like hitch all my body weight forward and then drive off. So normally when I'm looking at lunges, I am looking for a weight transfer to the front foot, and the load is, I'm moving this way. Does it look like I can move this direction from this position? What about this position? No. It's just a center of mass issue. I need the center over the limb that's going to do all the work. It's close to it, and then it pushes off from it. So just look for that when you're watching someone do lunges and they don't look stable. Make sure they're balanced. They go to one foot, they land, pressure's on this foot, and it stays really heavy on the front foot, okay? You're up, buddy, split squats. Question?
Well, I read something that said don't let the knee go over the toe, but it says excessively.
Excessively. And again, that's for like the general, we're learning lunges, the knee's not been exposed to it very often. If I have not exposed someone's joint to an exercise or a movement, and then all of a sudden we start taking that joint through its full range of motion under quite a bit of load, we might overstimulate it, press on it too often, and then it's going to respond and say like, hey, fucking quit that shit, dude. Enough of that. Don't do that anymore. Like his knees. Go grab 100 pounds. Just kidding, don't do it. Okay, we're gonna do a split squat. So I like to show someone a split squat from the bottom up. So just take a knee. And that's it. I'll just tell people to take a knee real quick because they very common when they're learning, they're like, I don't know where to put my feet. But a split squat is just like, if you've ever played a sport or done something where they're like, oh, just take a knee. You take a knee and you have a 90-90 here, okay? It's really balanced. People will do it automatically. And you can just have someone casually take a knee and just find a good balanced position. And then from here, you have them put their chest up. They squeeze their hands. And it's an even distribution of weight between their feet. And then both feet push down. And that's it.
That's such a good
split though, right?
Yeah. Huh?
You staying split the whole time?
Yeah, you stay in split. So in a split squat, you're not traveling back and forth from the start position to the end position. Okay? And then again, when you're watching a split squat, I'm trying to see how much load the front leg is giving. So if you watch this, I'll do it on this direction so you guys can see.
Kind of stay on the toe the whole time.
Yeah, I will go over that because that's a huge one that will make someone incredibly unbalanced in
Because
this.
I've noticed like at the end, I almost want to go back.
Shift
to
back
flat foot,
onto
but
it.
then I'm like, oh.
Yes. And I'll show you why you can't get down that way. Okay, so check this out. So if I am doing a split squat, my knee's bent, I need to get it unbent. My hip's bent, I need to get it unbent. So I see this all the time where they'll kind of hitch back and their knee always stays soft. So the way I tell people to feel similarly is I'll tell them to feel like either they're pushing the floor away or they're pushing their kneecap as far forward as possible and it locks their leg back. So I'm trying to get, again, it's called terminal knee extension. It's just your quad locking back. So yeah, this leg, come down. So she's gonna push her kneecap through the floor as hard as she can and lock the leg out.
Yeah, I can feel it a lot more in my glutes when I think about that.
Yeah, so the quad's now helping. Well, the quad and the glute should be doing this because we have hip flexion and knee flexion, but it's a lot of times the quad just kind of hangs out and is not active in this movement. So it should, yeah, exactly. And you'll see the wrinkle in her pants.
My quads take over on everything.
Huh?
So my quads take over and everything, so I don't have
They're good. They keep your legs happy. Okay, so yeah, same thing. Watch. So push the knees back. He flexes the quad. That's what you're going for. And you'll see the back armpit of his knee drives backwards immediately. You will watch when someone does split squats. Watch for that. And then that's the cue. Like, hey, I just want you to really push your knee back as hard as you can when you stand up and flex your leg as hard as you can. Because we want more activation on that lead leg. The back leg is stabilizing. Here's the biggest one, and why a lot of people don't feel balanced at all, is this is their start position. Here. Is my Achilles lengthened here, stretched?
Yes.
Can I stretch it anymore? This is dorsiflexion, yes? Do I need to bend my knee straight down?
Yes.
How do I do that if my heel is down? You can't. But people do this all the time, and they try to stick their heel to the ground, and then they have to get it somewhere, so they internally rotate, and then they just like drop. It doesn't feel good. Okay? So I will say put the ball of your foot in the ground and feel like you're pushing into the ground, or I'll say put your heel in the sky. And the heel has to stay here. And all I do, instead of cueing the front leg, I give them a task. So I'll say take your back knee and touch it straight to the floor. And that's it. And that's how I get them into it. It's similar to like, hey, start in a kneeling position. I just want to get you where I want you to go or give you a task to do what I want you to do. Just touch your knee to the ground. And then it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about my front leg. It's like,
That's gonna bend.
we'll worry about that later. Yeah, this one will bend. This one is the one that people struggle with, okay? So, any questions on split squats, reverse lunges, lunges? Did I do reverse lunges and forward lunges? I did. I didn't do reverse lunges, did I? You gotta get your legs bigger, buddy. We're doing reverse lunges. Okay, so we did a forward lunge. It's very similar to the forward lunge. You don't have the deceleration part, so when you step forward, I now have to handle my mass moving in that direction, right? Like I'm here, I'm now falling, I have to handle this slowing down. If I step back, the weight's already over the leg. I don't have to find it, I don't have to rebalance, I just have to lower myself. So there's just a little bit less demand via deceleration of like quick body weight or load. So he's gonna step about hip width apart. The key thing here, you will see, and I've used this cue a million times, is step on train tracks, not tight ropes. So you will see someone stand like this. You're gonna do this with me, and then you're gonna step right behind your foot, and then try to do a lunge from there.
Go down?
Yeah, back into the ground. Do you feel, move it in line. See how my knee's behind my heel? Yeah. So this is the first thing people do. Is this a very balanced position? If I pushed him over, is he gonna fall? Probably. Okay, so I will normally say like stand on train tracks and then just take this foot or whatever it is and slide it straight back to the floor. And then come back through, okay? And that is normally the fault that makes people feel really unstable, is they get a very stable foot position and they go from this, which is stable, to this, which is not stable and feels terrible. So especially if you add load to that exercise, if you add load and now you go really unstable, it's just, that's it, it's a wrap. So you want to keep these lunges in a hallway. So he cannot touch the walls in the hallway, he just has to go straight back through the hallway. So give people confinement. It's like, hey, imagine you're in a really tight hallway, and your feet are touching and they have to touch the wall the whole time. So you have to slide straight back. You cannot come in, you cannot come out. Okay? Same thing, I need the weight more forward on his foot, because in a reverse lunge, what direction do I have to get back to? Do I have to go this way to get up or this way? So I step back, which puts a lot of people on their heel, and then where do I have to go for my heel? Right back forward to this way. Okay? You can try it. I mean, you can get here and do, again, like more complex, but drive off the hip and just use your hip. But use your leg as one unit. Try not to, especially lunges. It's two joints moving, huh? Doing that way? Yeah. What are you saying? Yeah. Okay, so that's that for lunges. Reverse lunges, forward lunges. You're trying to do forward foot pressure, center of mass over the foot. You can't put the center of mass anywhere but over the foot. It turns into bad things, okay? Any questions on lunges? Okay? Anyone want to do some weighted lunges and challenge Joseph? See how long you can do lunges for?
I have one, maybe like two quick add-ons.
Okay.
When you are doing the whole like step back train tracks versus narrow hallway, he said it twice, but I want to reiterate that because so often people will be like, okay, cool, I'll go straight back. So you think like I'm on train tracks, I'm wide, but if we come here, I'm now overly wide, it will open us up. And the way that I can tell that that's wrong, and that's why he kept saying narrow hallway, so don't just think I want them straight back train tracks, because we'll always default to a more stable base. It does need to be a little bit more narrow. The inline, bad, but like wide, traditional, also bad for most people, right? And the reason I say bad is because if we do try and go down from here, I don't have this glute on the outside of this leg, so I don't have stability. So we were talking a lot last week about how certain muscles are doing certain actions and certain are doing function. So the muscle action is to move from insertion to origin, right? So this quad is trying to help me come back on up. That's its goal. But I'm using this glute to help stabilize. So with a traditional lunge position, whether it's Bulgarian like you were doing, the split squat, reverse lunge, I should see this hip on the outside of this leg. If I don't see some hip, I don't have enough internal rotation, I don't have enough stretch to be super stable in this position. And so if we just start off in our traditional position and think straight back here, now when I come down, this is a lot of open torque. This is driving a lot more through the knees, right? So if we actually are slightly in, so narrow hallway to his initial point, that's the only thing I just wanna make sure. You should see some outside glute on that move and narrow hallway. That's it.